Hey there, and welcome to this first army showcase where I'm going to be showing off my Nomads who are neither Corregidor nor Bakunin nor Tunguska. The only guy that might even end up Tunguska is the Alguacil hacker from the Corregidor army pack. Might actually be used as a Tunguskan interventor just for proxying sake. In fact, you might use her as any kind of hacker really. It's all good. But this is the core force I bought, and it makes a 300 point army. I think it makes a bit more. I believe the Hellcat, who's the drop trooper, is unnecessary to make this a 300 point army, but you may note that this 300 points would include the pilot here, and so it's actually only a 9-figure unit or an 8-figure if you've not got the Wildcat, which means you're really not optimizing your orders, but I'll get to that in a bit. First up then, we'll have a quick look at the Corregidor army pack. Here's the Corregidor army pack then, and these guys are multifunctional. You don't just have to use them as the Corregidor troops. I think in the army, the 300 point army list I originally created, I dumped the Hellcat from this group because I don't know, drop troops are a mixed bag in my opinion. They're pretty expensive for what they do. But on the same note, if you drop a Spitfire arm, drop Hellcat in the right place at the right time and they land where you want them to land, you can do a hell of a lot, and tactically wise, like in terms of a tactical strike, you can do a hell of a lot very quickly. But I think they're less reliable in terms of placement than something like, I don't know, thermoptic camouflage or what have you, which is why we then come to somebody like the Intruder on the right here. So this guy. Who I think is kind of, they're useful, they're forward, they're a pretty strong trooper, their stat line's like pretty decent, above average shall we say, marginally better than the Wildcats who are in the background here. And they allow you somebody forward, but what they don't allow is the tactical versatility, so the drop troop and the Hellcat, you can drop them. That's really great. But if the drop goes wrong, you can end up with them foot slogging on from your own table edge, and they might never really make combat, or you have to waste a load of orders if you really want to get them in. And so they can become a little futile and pointless in that respect. So again, depends on what you want to keep. Also, you can always use these to sub in as alternatives. So you could, I have a Spectre sniper, but you could use the Intruder also as a Spectre, so that would be your second Spectre, and that would give you your Spectre team. The Alguacil hacker on the left here. I might make a fast pounder, and I'll show you me making that if I do make it. Stat green stuff, and it will be pretty simple. They're only Ickle, and if I choose to use her as a Tunguska Interventor, I might choose to use her as a Tunguska Interventor with a fast panda, and I don't have any fast pandas at the moment, so I might just bosh one of them together. It won't be as good as a Corvus Belly fast panda, but I think I can make a pretty decent one because the stylized nature of them means that they're pretty good. But an Alguacil hacker is a cheap hacking option. Now, one thing I'm not sure with Alguacil is whether you pluralize it to Alguaciles or whether you just say Alguacils. I don't know enough about Spanish or Portuguese. I think Brazilian. I think in Brazil they speak Portuguese, don't they? So it would be Portuguese, but Portuguese, Spanish, I don't know nothing. So that's your hacker from this unit, and again, I've been finding in terms of points wise, if you want, you can vary this unit. I don't have a lot of guys, so I tend to go for more expensive people, which brings me to my guys at the back here. The Wildcats, who on paper are pretty decent, but the cheapest one's 17 points, and it's not really an ideal one, and they kind of without special weapons they cost about, I think it's 19 points, 20 points. So in terms of your 300 point army, 100 points you're only getting 5 of them, whereas for 80 points you can be getting 10 like Alguaciles, Corregidor trooper dudes. So they're not really very good in terms of making up commands and orders, like regular orders for your units. However, in terms of their fighting power, they're pretty good. A lot of them come with integral light flamethrowers, so if you're looking for area effects, short range, burst damage, as well as long range covering fire, they're a pretty all round choice. Also, with their ballistic skill of 13, it means they're an above average shot. I think 13 to 15 is like a pretty good shot, really. I don't think there's very many with units, characters, what have you, with a higher shooting value. And I'm thinking, although don't quote me on this because it's just me coming off the top of my head, I think the best sniper in the game is Atalanta for Aleph, and I'm pretty sure she's only got a ballistic skill 18, so they're reasonably good. But you also you can always use them as Bakun moderators or Alguacils. If you end up buying a load of wildcats and you just decide, well, these are my rank and file dudes, then I'm just using them as rank and file dudes. This is a game of proxying, I think, because they don't actually have a miniature for everything out there. Also, in my opinion, if you've got miniatures and you've got like a bunch of rank and file dudes and you're using them one way or another in a low level squad game like this, as long as you're not saying, oh, these wildcats are X and these wildcats are Y, as long as any sort of group of regular dudes, like if you've got a group of Alguacils, say, you could use them as a group of wildcats. I wouldn't be too fussed. I'm not sure what people are like in tournaments or under tournament conditions, whether the army lists are like, oh no, you have to have the right miniatures for the job. I'm not on that scene. I'm not on that level. I'm not that good of a player. And so yeah, that's a quick look at my Corregidor army pack dudes.
Next up then we have our Spectre sniper here lurking up in the backs of a building, looking out over the streets. And I just go for snipers because I think they're a good idea. I've been looking more at tournament lists and tournament builds recently, and snipers are not the preferable thing. Mostly because they're pretty expensive and they consume quite a lot of special weapons cost, especially if you're going for something which is a multi-sniper rifle. And to be honest with you, if you're going for a sniper, either go for something with a lot of variety of targets that's going to be effective against, i.e. a multi-sniper rifle, or go for something cheap and cheerful, in which case you're just looking to blap on infantry, in which case look for something that doesn't have a special weapons cost, I think, because snipers tend to be quite expensive and are potentially not very effective unless you're using them just to shut down areas of the battlefield by creating field vision. You want to shut infantry down, or you're trying to draw your opponent's tags or heavy infantry or what have you in, so that you're sort of creating an area where you are effectively weak to those units and you're therefore trying to get your opponent to counter deploy, preferably for your own nefarious reasons. Also, you can always use the Spectre as an intruder, and also combined with the intruder in the Alguacil army pack, you could have the Spectre team or intruder team. Either way, I think they're a pretty good combination. The miniatures look pretty good side by side. They don't look like they wouldn't be part of the same unit, and so for me, again, this is like a life choice, if you will. It comes down to substitutions are valid. Again, a lot of the time for me, I'd rather have the right weapon type in armour that looks vaguely correct than the right armour type with the wrong weapons. So again, I'm not sure what the rules and regulations are in tournaments for this, but certainly friendlies amongst you, your friends, or your local gaming group or what have you, then it should be fine. But so again, I was picking this because if you combine this with the Corregidor army pack, it gives you that level of versatility, and a lot of the choices I'm making about versatility. Here we have the Resident tag. This is my Lizard Squadron. I went for a Lizard because I actually really love the miniature. If you've been watching any of the painting stuff, you might realise that I just really like tags. I really like this kind of style of armour. It very much reminds me of Appleseed and the Masamune Shiro style of mechanized powered armor, which I think is very realistic for sort of near future, not far off modern technology, near future technology kind of powered armored suits where we don't actually have the full facility for well, I suppose complete mind integration. I think the next generation of technology that we'll be dealing with in terms of how perhaps science fiction should even be looking at these things is it should all be just direct interface mind controlled. There should be no need for sort of joysticks or anything like that. It should be plug in and go. Also, I think in terms of the battlefield, this kind of thing, bizarrely, in some respects, is more realistic than drones, assuming that you have world powers doing battle, because world powers will put out severe electronic jamming measures and you'll get lots of battlefield interference, which actually might mean that 1 minute you're in control of your drone and the next minute you're not, just based on static. And so I think that kind of static can be problematic, so you would actually be better with something which is controlled by a human with a direct brain interface, so that you can put sufficient electromagnetic insulation, basically, stop it from being hit by those kind of jamming signals. But I love tags. This is a piloted tag, so I do have the pilot. It's an expensive one. I do think that, in terms of tags, you can always proxy tags. I would quite like to do a Nomad tag force, which might be a bit silly. And also, if you do incorporate the tag, from my point of view, the Alguacil hacker does kind of look a bit engineering, so I'd be quite happy to use her as a Bakunin clockmaker as well. And again, if I do make a fast panda, so that in case I decide to use her as a Tunguska interventor, I could also use said fast panda as the relevant Zond bot for the repair crews and medics. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about drones in a minute, but then on to the last member of my nomadic crew.
Redactaris, my doctor for my cat bear squadron. So I went for a doctor for them, mostly because they're elites, but having said that now, I almost believe that it's better to go for doctors if you're not going for elites, because elites you should be kind of DPSing your opponent to death effectively, whereas if you've got the lesser quality troops, you have much more opportunity for a doctor to be effective, because you get more rolls. The more rolls you get, the more chance you have of them actually succeeding at bringing someone back. Also, if you're managing large quantities of people and they keep on going down, you keep on bringing them back up, you can cause your opponent an awful lot of frustration, whereas with an elite team, you've got fewer members. If they do go down, they're probably going to be finished off, which means your doctor might actually never get to do anything. So when I was building this army, I hadn't really considered that or thought about that, and hadn't been in a situation to discover that for myself. So yes, that is the Dactaris. So final note, 1, don't run into a room when you're underneath all of your enemies. But I think more importantly, one of the things I've really learnt is the importance of getting orders. This is very much a game about getting your orders out and getting your characters doing what you want them to do. And part of that is having orders, like I say. Now, one of the most important methods that people seem to use for getting orders, and also one of the most important units in the game, tactically speaking, it's your drones. Now, these are quite expensive miniatures. You have to buy them in pairs, and in the UK they cost about £22 for the pair, or £25 a pair. I'm not sure exactly, I'd have to go and check. Also, prices will vary with suppliers. Now, in game terms, they're incredibly cheap. Like, a lot of them are like 8 to 16 points, which means they cost about as much,
as a regular infantry dude. Now, they're bigger bases, bigger silhouette, easier to see, which on some respects makes them easier to kill. But the 360 degree HMG or Spitfire or what have you equivalent weapon drone is incredibly popular tournament choice, and I think it's primarily because it gives you the 360 degree field of fire, so it covers your pesky thermoptic dudes coming out of thermoptic camouflage in the middle of your guys, and if they come out behind you, it doesn't matter. If they come out in front of you, it doesn't matter. Either way, you can always shoot them. And that makes it very important because they're a pretty cheap way of giving orders. They also consume a nominal quantity of special weapons cost, because I think you can get like an HMG for one special weapons cost, and I think a lot of the time it's 1.5 or 2 points, depending on whether it's like a tag or an infantry guy. And they give you that 360 degree arc of fire, and they're not awful. I think their BS is normally like 12. Do correct me if I'm wrong. And so as such, they actually play a very important role in everything as a whole. It doesn't mean you have to have them. The other way of dealing with getting regular orders, there are some people that seem to build forces where, you know, they have full squads of 10, which makes their tournament force. I think this season you might have to take a tag in order to achieve certain objectives. Certainly last ITS season 8, you had to take a tag in order to fulfill the criteria, because people stop taking tags because tags, they are not points cost effective. If you want to build a points cost effective game force, don't take tags. I think heavy infantry supported by hackers using the is a hacking ability which you play on your own guys, which gives all of your heavy infantry, so it doesn't apply to tags, which is unfortunate, but it gives them all, I think it's +3 to their BTS, so their defense against hacking, against biological warfare, against any weird technological warfare or what have you. Was it biotechnological and something else, synaptic? I'm not sure. Defense is a massive advantage, and so if you play, especially if you can run like a fire group of mobile brigada, say in the case of Nomads, and you support them with the Tunguska Interventor or any old hacker that can run it, because you just run it. I can't remember the name of the hacking program. Something like Fairy Dust, I think. So you can enhance all of your guys, and you can make them very strong against being hacked, and enhance them all, and you can get everything you need out there. So the other option is you take a whole load of cheap guys like Yalguacalis or the Bakunin guys for this. So they're like your 9-point, 8-point dudes. They're not very good, but they do give you your regular orders. So I hope this has been some interest use to you, and that you've enjoyed seeing me Nomads all together. These are the cat bears, by the way. That is what they shall always be known as. I'm going to keep them as a mixed bunch, and in the future, you never know, I might add stuff to them, and it's probably going to be more tags because I'm that way inclined. Although I might have the big drone off at some point, but I do have another force that needs to start being assembled once the JSA have been completed, and that will be Aleph. So coming soon, Aleph. In the not so distant future, more JSA, and hopefully even some battle reports, but sorry I haven't got around to doing anything like that. I'm just I'm a bit slow off the mark, what can I say. It's taken me a lot longer to get all my scenery together and everything ready. So the Journey to Infinity is almost done, and I think it's taken me about a year actually. So I hope this has been of some interest and use to you, and your army's coming together and you're getting either competitive or friendly, or you're just playing awesome games that you like playing. Thank you for watching, have a good one and take care. Bye bye.